All right, ladies, those of you who want a high earning man, I have a wake up call for you. The economy is very lopsided in this country. We have a tiny 0.1% of the population that's millionaires and above, 2% or so. I think 6% of American men, 6% of Americans earn over $100,000 a year. Many of them are women, and most of these people are already in their 30s. And then you have the average American only earning $50,000 a year. You have a large poverty class in this country. So the number of, and that's because over the last few decades, the upper classes, the lobbyists, politicians, CEOs, have siphoned money off the workers instead of giving the workers raises. They have kept the money for themselves for increasing their salaries, share buybacks, increasing their stock portfolios. So that selfishness and that greed has created a situation where the fortunes of the American male have just declined, okay? So there are not that many men who earn over $100,000 a year. And even $100,000 a year is not that much anymore. So a lot of ladies are looking for a rich guy to be in one of these really nice big houses. But here is something that you have to know about the men who are at that level, is that they're working like a shit ton of hours, excuse my language, 80, 100 hours a week, where they don't have any time for you. Now, if you value relationships and you value being with your husband, this is bad news. But say you're a gold digger and you just want a guy who has money and you don't mind that he has no time for you. So now you're competing with millions of women. So for every guy that makes 200,000 or 300,000 a year, there are probably thousands of women. So they're very hard to get. And if you do get them, a lot of them, to get to that, any person who is willing to work 80 hours a week or more and get to those high positions, you have to be very ruthless. You have to be, I don't give a shit if you're a Democrat. Nancy Pelosi is crooked, Biden is crooked, Trump is crooked, they're all crooked. You have the Wall Street guys are crooked, the lobbyists are crooked, the big pharma guys are crooked, they're all crooked. So you have to be willing to be with someone who's crooked and who lies. And they will lie to get money, and they will lie to you, and they will cheat on you. So they're going to work a lot of hours. They're going to cheat on you. And they're not going to have empathy, because you can't have empathy to be in those high positions. You have to be kind of ruthless. And the celebrities included, they have problems. They have emotional problems. They have trauma. They have drug problems. And these guys, especially if they're good looking and charming, have a lot of women who want them. So the life that you see portrayed on social media or in your mind or in the movies is a lie. So if you do happen to marry a guy that's earning $500,000 a year, $1 million a year, like one of the top guys on Wall Street, a top law firm, a very distinguished professor, they're going to work a lot of hours. They're going to probably be narcissistic. They're probably going to cheat on you. They're probably going to be controlling and abusive. And I don't think that they have very high quality marriages. So my recommendation, my personal recommendation, is to go for like a good guy with a good heart who works hard and makes enough money, like a plumber, an electrician, an engineer, somebody in sales, somebody who cares about relationships. See, guys who care about relationships, they don't want to work 80 hours a week. They don't want to be the top CEO. They want to have a quality of life. They want to have time for their family, their children, their exercise, and their hobbies. And those are, in my opinion, the best guys to go for. And they're not prancing around on social media showing off, because it's not about showing off, it's about who they're being. So my recommendation, ladies, is to focus on being like a feminine woman who's got something interesting going on and is kind to men and sees men as desirable, as kind, who trusts men. You know, if you have something going on and you trust men and you see men as good creatures and you value relationships, you can end up with a really great guy in a really great relationship. But if you're just chasing the money and the status and flaunting wealth, the chances are you're going to be miserable as fuck, and you probably won't get one of those guys anyway. It takes a lot to get to the top of those firms. See, I have met several lawyers who were in the rat race to become partners at really big firms. And a lot of those guys just drop out after 5 or 6 years because they get tired of 2 years in a row of never having a day off. Because they actually are relational. They actually want to spend time with their wife and see their kids once in a while. But the ruthless guys who only care about money, they're the ones at the top. But the wife is home alone. She's pretty much home alone. Same as the women married to those high up military guys. So that's what you have to know, what you're getting in for. It is not all glory. It is a miserable, miserable relationship. Miserable relationship. Better off getting a middle class guy, in my opinion. And ladies, don't go into debt. Guys don't want to absorb all your debt. You've got to find some kind of work and make a life for yourself that you're happy with to attract the kind of guy that's going to be relational. For a healthy relationship, you have to be a woman who's happy with her life and happy with herself. I mean, you can have a down day here or there, but you can't be like a complainer or grumpy or looking for someone to fulfill you, because in a relationship, you'll have to do a lot of giving, and you can only give if you feel happy already in yourself. If you have any trauma, ladies, if you have any trauma, get help for that, because if you were abandoned as a child, your relationship will turn to shit if you haven't done trauma, because you are going to become rageful, you're going to become controlling, and eventually you will push your man out the door. Okay? That's it. So these are my tips. I hope that they were good tips. I used to, it's just a lot harder for men nowadays to be financially successful. If we want to change it, we need to start holding our politicians accountable to have some actual discussions with our country about how to change our economic fortunes, because we have a system right now. We have like a huge poverty class here. We have a huge poverty class. We have the majority of Americans living paycheck to paycheck, and some people putting food and gas on their credit cards. The credit card debt apparently has just been increasing a lot. So I really feel for men, and there are a lot of really great guys out there. Mechanics, I would definitely, myself, I would definitely date a mechanic, a plumber, an electrician. I would not be looking for a guy who's just working all the time, being all about his money and his wealth, Look for guys who are more like relational. You will have a better life. He will be a better father, and he will be a better husband. He will have a better life. But guys like that also look for women who are heart-centered and happy. So if you can be a woman like that, you can get a good guy. Just don't look for the super rich guys. But if you do meet someone like that, like a doctor or a lawyer who works reasonable hours, good for you. But there's a shortage of those guys. So don't delay getting into a relationship looking for that, because there are not that many of them out there. And start setting your sights financially a little bit lower, because the economy in this country is on the way down. And the times of a man, it used to be when I was in my 20s, a guy could work for UPS and they made huge money. They were all unionized. Like, the UPS guys were not only sexy and hot and strong, they made a lot of money, and they had pensions and health care. So did the mailmen. Those days are long gone. So we need to be realistic. And that is my tip for the ladies.